This is part 3 of the Bandai 148 scale ATST build. I've done my test fit here, and this is the positioning that I want to put the kit in. I like the dynamic pose, I like the head turned. But there's some things I need to do first. I need to trim some pieces so that they'll fit in all the way and glue them. I'm going to glue these two pieces here to the base, leave the legs off so it'll be easier to paint and weather, and then of course the head still comes off to be able to paint and weather that. I also need to glue the feet in this position because they do go back and forth a little bit so that they stay. I've marked a line across these two pieces because this is the position I want the legs in, but as you can see there's a space in between the two pieces. They're little nubs so this thing snaps in, so I need to take those off because I want these two pieces to be flat against each other. So I use that line to mark so I know where my position is, and I can take that leg off, file it down so it fits in there the way I want, and then I can glue it. I did the same thing on this leg. I laid out all the separate pieces that I'm going to paint before final assembly. Some of the pieces, like the hoses here, and some of the smaller pieces I'm going to paint by hand because it's going to be easier. The airbrush I use is an Iwata Neo. It's a great airbrush. I really like it. It's about 50 bucks. I got it on Amazon. All you have to do is just search Iwata Neo and it'll come up. One of the cooler things about it is that it already has a little bowl if you're just needing to do a few drops to touch areas up. It has another size bowl that screws into it for larger amounts of paint, and if you're doing really large areas it has an even bigger bowl with a cap. So you get several options with one airbrush, plus the price is really good. I did wash everything on the sprue before I assembled the pieces, but since most of them I've handled again and sanded and stuff like that, I've gotten more finger oil on it. So what I need to do is clean it even more. What I use is this 91% isopropyl alcohol. This is the Rite Aid brand, it's cheaper. I use that. Cheap cotton buds, which is also a Rite Aid brand. And what you do is you get alcohol on the end of the Q-tip, and then you just go over every area. Since it is alcohol, it'll dry quickly. It won't affect the glue, but it will remove whatever finger oils might be left from all the handling. I will use gloves, and normally I do use gloves even when I do this part, but I just wanted to show you how I do this. And this will prep the area to be able to take the primer a lot better. But it's really easy. But you can see the dirt on the tip of the Q-tip there that it's taken off. I've cleaned all the parts with the isopropyl alcohol, and now I'm ready to prime. I mixed my own primer, which is 1 part black primer to 6 parts gray primer. The primer I use is Vallejo surface primer. These are the large bottles, the gray and the black. I got these off of Amazon, so you can search and find them there. Also, when I mix my colors, and in all my other bottles also, I put lead weights for fishing lines. I don't remember the size because I got them a long time ago, but they're a little bit bigger than a BB. But it helps the paint to mix off the bottom. So I will prime these parts like a pre-shade, and when I complete that, I'll show you what they look like. I've airbrushed my medium light gray primer on my parts. I also went back with a brush and got into some of the crevices, and to give it kind of a patchy look, to show some wear and tear. This will all fade back once I put my primary color on top. Here's the leg. And here's the head. I've also put the pieces on now that they've all been painted. Still works. This is the color I mixed for my main color. I've labeled it and put down the mixture that I made, which started with Modelworx light gray, the whole bottle. Then I mixed in 5 drops of the Modelworx white, and then 2 drops of the Modelworx light gray green, and then about 10 drops of the Liquitex Flow Aid. This helps it flow better through the airbrush. I've painted all the parts with my gray mixture, and you can see how the dark undertone, how splotchy it was. Now that I've put the lighter color over top, I've gained some slight gradations from light to dark to show maybe light fade or something in the paint. Also kind of gives the feeling of highlights where the sun probably would be beating down. Now I've got to let the parts dry for 24 hours. Then I'll be able to begin the weathering and the detailing. I'm working on the hoses. I started by covering them with Modelworx NATO Black. And now I'm using a dry brush technique using Model Color Oily Steel. What I have is a flat brush that I cut almost all the bristles off of. So what I do is I dip it in the paint, get most of the paint off, and then I slowly, very lightly, drag it across. And this is what gives me the worn look, like it was black at one time and now it's scraped off the paint and you can see the silver coming through. Once I get all these done, I will probably do a very, very light black wash over top to take down the contrast of the silver and the black so it looks a little more worn. But that's how I'm doing the hoses. I'm going to do a light wash on the bottom These were on sale and I wanted to try them. These are vallejo washes. This is the black wash. So I'm going to use some of this and a lot of water to do this wash, because I want it real light, because you can always go darker but you can't go lighter. As I said, this is really light. It's probably 1 part wash to about 10 parts water. And what I'll do is I'll just keep going over this, slowly building it up. Layers are really the key to a good wash. I finished the wash on all the pieces, did another test fit to see if my washes all match, that they're all close in the same tone. Obviously some areas will be darker, like these exhaust vents around here where the gears are, places that will collect dirt and dust. Now I'm going to seal this with some vallejo satin varnish, and then I'll start working with some pastels. I also use a pencil, but I'll show you that when we get to that part. So it's looking good. It's moving right along. I've coated all the parts with vallejo satin finish, and now I'm going to do some pastels. I've had these pastels since I went to college, which was about 30 years ago. But they're cheap pastels. You get a wide range of colors, and I'll use that in combination with a little flat brush and what they call stumps. I think I got these off Amazon also. It's a variety pack. You get a whole assortment of sizes. It's just wound up paper is what it is, but you get a good point to be able to move things, streak things. What I'll do is I'll take the tip, I'll run it over using a rust color. Get some on the tip, and I'll just come in and pick some selected areas. Kind of draw it on. Okay, it's a little too pink. Let's go a little brown. It's a darker brown. It's a little better. And you just kind of draw it on there. I'll also use a .03 mechanical pencil, and I'll come in and just draw little scumbles, which is just kind of going in little circles, kind of give the illusion of scratches. So I'll give you kind of an idea of what it can look like. This is using the black pastel with the little stub, just drawing my lines, and then coming back with my .03 mechanical pencil and just lightly pulling down to get that streak. I've been working on the weathering. Right now I'm still just using the black wash with a very thin brush, and I'm going in and catching all the cracks and the crevices, putting more wash in there to get contrast to separate the shapes. It's coming out pretty good. I'm going to keep playing with the washes, and then I think I'm going to also try this oxide rust wash in some spots. I completed all the weathering, put the rest of the parts on, side guns, this little side piece, hoses, all leftover pieces. I sealed everything with vallejo matte varnish, so everything is sealed. Now I need to create a base, mount it to the base. This is going to do it for part 3. Part 4 is going to be the finale, where it'll be attached to the base, and we'll show some beauty shots, and I'll talk about what I like about the kit, stuff like that. So thanks for watching, and we will see you for the finale.